they need absolutely zero provocation, zero encouragement. A month after the Red Fort terror attack in Australia, Bondi Beach, kissed by the sun and lapped by the azure waters of Australia's east coast, was blotted by blood. Look at those pictures. A father-son duo. Yes, viewers, a father-son duo. A father does everything to ensure that his son will do something productive in life. But this father, viewers, what plans did he have for his son? He hands him a gun. A father-son duo, both Muslims, trained their guns on locals, tourists and others who had gathered at the Sydney beach to participate in a Jewish celebration called the Hanukkah by the Sea Festival. In a sense, the victims were picked out because of their religion. Because viewers, Hanukkah is celebrated by Jews. The attacker is a 50-year-old man called Sajid Akram, and his son also collaborated with him, not more than in his 20s. You can see the two. Sajid Akram owned a fruit shop, had a firearm license since the last 10 years. Sajid, his son, was killed on the spot by the police, was tackled and disarmed by a bystander. Then viewers, 24-year-old Navid Akram, the son, remains in hospital in critical condition, thanks to his dad. The shooting, viewers, is being described, and look at these pictures, as Australia's deadliest in 30 years. Several are dead and many more injured, some critically. The attacks drew instant comparisons to the October 7 attack of 2023, when Islamist Hamas terrorists crossed the border from Gaza into Israel and picked off revelers celebrating the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. It also drew comparisons to Pahalgam. Incidentally, viewers, today the charge sheet was made public, and there are clear linkages to Pakistan, Islamist terror. All these three attacks now conclusively establish that radical Islam has gone global, that the mission to entrench the Darul Islam or the House of Islam transcends borders. No provocation is required. From Delhi, Pahalgam, Sydney, Islamists are ready to spill blood to establish their promised land, a caliphate that runs on Quranic injunction. A world that is at odds with any other culture, civilization that embraces modernity and its tenets, secularism, equality, fraternity and liberty. Back in the 2000s, viewers, neoconservatives in then American President George W. Bush's regime had diagnosed the disease. They put this down to the clash of civilizations, a term served up a decade earlier by American political scientist Samuel P. Huntington. You must all have heard of him. Huntington's thesis predicted that in the post-Cold War era, most important distinction among people are no longer ideological, political or economic. They are cultural. In other words, Huntington predicted that most major global conflicts would be from here on triggered by cultural distinctions. Israel's top leaders slammed the Australian government for failing to accept this reality. Israel's combative Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu publicly chided his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese for living in denial. He told Albanese, "I warned you that the Australian government policy was encouraging anti-Semitism. You did nothing to curb cancer cells growing in your country. Your inaction resulted in the horrific December 14 attack on Jews. Prime Minister Albanese, you replaced weakness with weakness. You replaced appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism." But if the evidence is strong and empirically proven, why do some deny the existence of Islamist terror? The answer lies in the delusions of the so-called left liberal ecosystem that insists that terror has no religion and that drawing any linkages amounts to gaslighting Muslims. What follows is selective blindness, masquerading as moral virtue. Osama bin Laden is labeled a freedom fighter. Red Fort suicide bomber Umar Nabi, that extolled jihad as divine duty, he said, is whitewashed and described as a misguided youth, a Bhatkawa youth who was reacting to the rising tide of Hindu extremism. There are many such examples. By collapsing a hate-laced supremacist ideology into identity, the ecosystem immunizes a violent doctrine from scrutiny, while ordinary Muslims pay the price of that dishonesty. It's ordinary Muslims that get the bad name, viewers, and they don't deserve this. Naming and shaming Islamist extremism is not bigotry. The same establishment has no compunctions about identifying far-right white supremacists and neo-Nazism. They are the first to throw labels like Hindu terror and so forth, hypocritically conflating terror with Sanatani tradition. Only Islamist terror enjoys immunity, is not to be mentioned, never to be talked about. This whitewashing emboldens radicals who read denial as weakness. And that's why Netanyahu used that phrase, weakness, until the so-called liberal left separate Islam from Islamism and confront the latter without fear of losing vote banks and support. The Islamist bogey will draw blood, and that too with tragic regularity, if not predictability. Your first reactions to what transpired at the Bondi Beach, this carnage, how do you see it?
Well, first of all, it's a huge shock. It's shocking to see what had happened there. I lived in Sydney for 6 years. This Jewish community was my community. I was in this beach hundreds of times. This is one of the most touristic spots in Australia. And it was just appalling and shocking to see that in broad daylight, 2 terrorists came hunting for Jews with hunting guns, killing them one after the other, coming into a celebration. You know, this was a Hanukkah celebration where family gathers together to light candles, to play with dreidels, to have fun. And grandparents, Holocaust survivors were massacred, children. I mean, this is just shocking and appalling and heartbreaking. But I have to say as well, this was no surprise for us.
Let's just go back a few years to October 7th, once again, an important time in the Jewish calendar, a terror strike. Now, three years later, you have another terror strike, this time in December, once again, on a very important Jewish festival, as you've yourself suggested. Common threads here?
Sorry, which attack do you refer to?
The October 7th attack, and of course now the December 14th carnage in Bondi. Both taking place on important times with regards to...
Of the holiday.
That's right.
Using holidays
so
as
common threads? Common threads here? How do you see this?
Well, we've seen throughout history that our enemies are looking into high holidays to try and target the Jewish community. You've seen just a few months ago an attack on the Manchester synagogue. They seek for religious places, for religious holidays to go and go on this rampage. And it should be very clear to you that, you know, this is not about some disputes about territory or anything like that. This is a cultural, a religious war between radical Islamists and against people who value freedom, who choose democracy, who choose values that respect one another, liberty, as simple as that. And this is what they're doing in London, in Germany, in Australia, in India. Okay, those are terrorist attacks that are challenging the soul and the heart of communities, including religious communities. Those are civilians, families. It's appalling. And I have to say that this has been growing in Australia because even after the 7th of October, the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, you saw already 2 days later, on the 9th of October, in Sydney, marches in support of Hamas. This was before Israel was at war. This was just when Israel was attacked, where entire families were burnt alive, where little girls were raped. And they were marching in Sydney, celebrating, chanting, gas the Jews, gas the Jews, globalize the Intifada. Well, no one was arrested. No one was prosecuted. Those are hate crimes. Those are calling for killing of Jews in Sydney, and the authorities did nothing. And so when we say that, unfortunately, the government didn't do enough to try and stop that, to fight anti Semitism. This is what we're talking about.
Ms. Haskel, let me ask you this because India, as you've just pointed out yourself, has been on the receiving end, and we just had a terror attack that we've recovered from in the heart of the Union capital here in India. And that was carried out by also Islamist extremists. Are you suggesting that at this moment in time, the Islamist extremist cause, so to speak, if you want to call it that, I don't call it that, but many people do, is not being triggered by.
Connected.
Are all connected.
They are all connected. This is not a territorial dispute. Not in India, not in Australia, not in London, not in Israel, not in Africa, not in Latin America, not in Canada. Those are radical Islamists with a extreme view that Islam needs to dominate the world, that they need to reestablish the caliphate. And it goes by the name of Hezbollah and ISIS, Hamas and Daesh, and many other names and forms that they're putting on them. And the same idea, the same cause, and they're fighting people of other religions, whether it's Jews or Hindus, Kurdish or Yazidis, Christian or Alawis. That is the core idea, and the world is under threat. It is under threat by those radicals, and there's two sources for it. It's very simple. The IRGC and the Muslim Brotherhood, who's been promoting, who's been pushing and radicalizing the youth.
Well, in India, we of course have a different issue because the terror that strikes us, the Islamist terror that strikes us, the roots of it are in Pakistan, which is a belligerent state on our western border. And whenever we try and seek diplomatic isolation of these terror groups, there is a pushback globally, especially in the United Nations. How entrenched is this sort of prejudice against those people who try to call out what this actually is? People like you, for example, who are calling it out for what it is, which is political Islam, radicalized Islam, and so on and so forth.
Look, they are very sophisticated and they try to cover it up in many different ways, okay? Here in Israel, they try to use it as a territorial excuse as well. But it's not. It's not. They were given land. They were given offered for state and for land numerous times. They refused. And they refused because the core idea behind the fight about the land is that any infidel, and I'm putting like that, infidels, meaning non-Muslim person, are not allowed to hold Muslim land. And this is a call for jihad. It means that whether it's Hindus or Jews or Kurdish or Christian, we are not allowed to hold land that is being considered land of Islam, of Muslims. Okay? So there might be, a symptom of land, but the core value of that is religious. These are people who don't want to live side by side. Those organizations have been radicalizing the youth through propaganda, through hatred, through racism. They don't want to coexist. They don't want to live together. There has to be an in-depth coalition that is going to start talking about putting things on the table, putting things as they are. Okay. Start talking about incitement, about re-education for values of tolerance, coexistence, interfaith dialogue. Otherwise, it will only get worse.
There are many Indians, and I don't know if this is true of Israel, but there are many Indians who say that terror has no religion and that it would be wrong to characterize or link Islam to terrorism, for example. How do you respond to people like that?
Well, you tell me, and let's look on the statistics. How many suicide bombers were Jewish? Zero. Okay? How many terrorist attacks in buses and in bars or with explosion devices or Hindus or Kurdish or Yazidi or Christian? There's a source for that. And I'm not saying all Muslims are like that. On the contrary, we have brothers and sisters here, Muslim brothers and sisters who are fighting in the IDF, Muslims who were massacred on the 7th of October, Muslims who were held in the dungeons of torture of Hamas as hostages that Israel released because they are Israeli civilians, our brothers and sisters who understand that the first one to pay a grave price for radical Islamists are them, those Muslim community. Look on what's happening in Afghanistan. Look on what's happening to women there, how their rights are being stripped off. When we talk about freedom and liberty, those communities are the first one to pay a grave price. Look on the Muslim communities in Iran, women and men who are being tortured and abducted and murdered and hanged in the streets only because they requested freedom. So those communities are the first one to talk. But we can also say that the source of those terrorist attacks, global wide, are radical Islamist terrorist attack. They are religiously motivated by radicals. And we cannot ignore the facts, because if we ignore it, we cannot deal with the source. We cannot find solutions.
I've spoken earlier, viewers, a little earlier in the day, to the Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister, and you heard her speak, very direct, and she's posed some questions. Let's open this up very quickly. I want to go straight across to Tausif Shah, leader of the PDP. Mr. Shah, you heard Ms. Haskel. She was very direct. She didn't beat around the bush. Your party once said that terror is no religion. It maintains this position. And the Israeli government and this leader, a representative of the Israeli government, the Deputy Foreign Minister, is asking Muslims to admit that terror has a religion. There is enough proof now. No provocation is required. So I'm asking you, sir, why do you want to whitewash an apparent truth? I can't hear you, sir. I think you've put yourself on mute. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Mr. Rahul, just let me tell you, let me begin with the thing that God has himself just simply proved that terror has no religion. Because you're seeing the video, in the video you see a man who has killed the terrorist. And he too was a Muslim. His name was Ahmed Al-Ahmed. So he's also a Muslim. So now how can you say that terror has a religion? If somebody is a Muslim, he killed somebody, and another Muslim came, he stopped him, he fired on him, he rather killed him. Rather, he was the man who killed him, approximately who fired 5 or 6 shots on him. And to clear it, his name is Ahmed Al-Ahmed. So I can say that God has already cleared it itself, that terror has no religion, and the terrorist is the terrorist. He has a terrorist mindset. You cannot differentiate him from a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, a Sikh, a Parsi, a Jain, whatever he may be. So you can check the Google. You can see the name of him. He's also Muslim. Now, second thing is there that we are still going by this way, that we see that in Delhi blast, when we see there were many Muslims killed. We see when Sharren Haskel attack happened, there were 2 or 3 Muslims killed who tried to fight these terrorists, these militants who killed on the name of Islam, who killed on the name of speak out if you know or you don't know the kalima. So we cannot define it that this is an Islamic terrorism. Yes, we see there are many people who belong to the religion.
You can't define that this is Islamist terrorism.
No. Me being a Muslim.
Can you believe it, viewers?
Yes, me being a Muslim.
I mean, a man goes out there. A man goes out there, and he shouts that as a Muslim, it's my duty to blow myself up. And we are talking about the Red Fort bomber. You see another, 1 second, in Pahalgam. Listen, 1 second.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sick and tired of people lying through their teeth. Okay? So let me just put it on record. In Pahalgam, sir, what did the terrorists ask of their victims? Can you tell me?
Sindoor.
Yeah.
Bataiye, sir.
Now let me tell you. Just let me reply to it.
Now, who kya? Tell me, what did he say?
The main thing is that.
No. What do you mean main thing? They said, please. What did they say, Mr. Shah? Please tell me. What was the question asked of the victims in Pahalgam? Don't get into all this. I'm asking you.
Yes, to decide the kalima.
So why, sir? What did they want to discover? What did they want to discover then? I'm asking you. What did they want to discover?
Look, we cannot.
Mr. Tausif Shah, let me ask you a simple question. Let me ask you a simple question. I'll ask you a simple question. I'll ask you a simple question, sir.
Look, kill on the name of Ram.
Listen, sir. I'll ask you a question. I'll ask you a simple question. I'll ask you a simple question. Can you answer this question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Do you condemn all those Kashmiris who came out onto the streets and held a procession for the chief of Hamas and the chief
Nasrallah.
of Hezbollah? Do you condemn them or do you praise them? Take a position tonight.
Yes, I'll take a position tonight. But I'll take the stand of my country. I'll take the stand of India. India supports Palestine. Nasrallah was supporting Palestine. So now you take the stand.
Wow.
Are you against the India or are you with the India?
Viewers, can you believe this? India doesn't... No, hang on. India doesn't... Okay, let me open this up. Because, here I think we need to be... No, 1 second. Foreign policy. My dear man... A terrorist now has become a diplomat for you. Okay, 1 second. Let me just bring in. No, 1 second. Viewers, look at this warped logic. Can you believe it? A terrorist, a man who says that no Jew has a right to exist. He says it on record. These people were taking on processions, praising him. A hate monger.
Rahul.
Does the Indian government support hate mongers? Do they support the Hezbollah?
Rahul,
No, viewers, they don't. They support the state of Palestine, which is not supposed to be in any way linked to terrorism.
Rahul, one question.
They support the...
Just one
question.
1
second, sir, please. I'm tired, sir, of going on like this every day. You're giving Muslims a bad name in this country. You're giving Muslims a bad name in this country, Mr. Shah. You can't take a position against terrorism. You tomorrow say Osama bin Laden was a freedom fighter. You probably will say it.
We have Yati Narsinghar.
1 minute, Mr. Mitra.
Okay,
he
sir,
clearly
says that
I'm asking you a simple question. Should a terrorist ever be given? Should a terrorist ever be given the status of a martyr? Yes or no? Should Burhan Wani have been given the status of a martyr?
Why should we give? Why should we give the
because you came out, sir, with his Janana. 1 second. Let me ask Mr. Iyer Mitra. Let me ask Mr. Iyer Mitra. How do you respond to Mr. Shah?
You see, I find this logic that Muslims die and therefore it is un-Islamic to be very facetious.
Of course.
Because Mao Zedong killed 7 times the number of Chinese that the Japanese Imperial Army did. Does that make Mao Zedong Japanese? Stalin ended up killing 10 million more of his own citizens than the German army did. Does that make Stalin German? There is this standard practice here because Pakistan has lost more people than India in terrorists that they themselves spawned. They will tell you, Pakistan is also the victim of terror. This is the classic pyromaniac logic. This is the classic wife basher logic. I beat you because I love you. I got burnt trying to save you. And it is known that the greatest number of psychopaths usually work in security or police forces. The greatest number of pyromaniacs, diagnosed pyromaniacs, usually work in fire brigades. We know this. Notice the perversion of this argument, Rahul. Basically, to connect this with Dhurandhar, what was their criticism against Dhurandhar? That criticizing Pakistani Muslims and criticizing Pakistan equals criticizing Indian Muslims. That is exactly what the terrorists in Sydney told us. It doesn't matter if you immigrate to Australia and become Australian. Your religion is always above your nationality. Therefore, criticism of one is criticism of all. Criticism of ISIS is criticism of every Muslim. That is exactly what they have said. This is their logic. This is Arfa Khanum logic. This is Rana Ayub logic. And this is our friend Mr. Tausif's logic. So they are not disagreeing, mind you. They are pretending to disagree, but they are all essentially saying the same thing theoretically. Criticizing one Muslim is criticizing every Muslim. Therefore, you must not criticize one Muslim. That's it. That's it. Because if they start believing in the nation state, it fundamentally contradicts their belief in the Ummah. They have never reconciled to the nation state. These people don't even accept India. That is what they themselves are telling you. I am not saying this. This is the same liberal Muslim intellectual who's been on TV criticizing Dhurandhar for the last week, many of them on your show itself, Rahul. Tell me, have I said anything wrong? Have I misrepresented what they've said on your show?
Yes, Mr. Mitra.
No. In
Yes,
fact,
Mr. Mitra.
I'm not
Mehbooba
talking to you,
Mufti,
sir. I'm talking to
Mehbooba Mufti, and luckily her daughter has the sense to disassociate in this particular issue with her mother. But Mehbooba Mufti came out and said that Dhurandhar is an anti-Muslim movie. In fact, the exact quote I was trying to look up. I'll just find it and I'll read it to you viewers. Your jaws will drop to the floor what she said. So I want to bring in Mr. Nikhil Jain. Mr. Nikhil Jain, I want to ask you a very simple question. Your leader, Rahul Gandhi, goes and meets Ilhan Umar in Washington, D.C. Ilhan Umar, who has come out and made some rabid anti-Semitic statements, is a supporter of the right to liberate Kashmir because, viewers, she believes in the cause. So I want to ask you, Mr. Jain, are political parties and politicians such as you who go out there and whitewash, I don't know whether it's for appeasement or it's an ideological bent, I have no clue, but who whitewash Islamist terror, are you emboldening it, sir? It's a very simple question. And without whataboutery, can you answer why Rahul Gandhi goes and meets the poster lady internationally of anti-Semitism?
First of all, Rahul, you have to understand the difference between anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. People who are opposing the government of Israel or the state of Israel as it's being run right now is not opposing the religion of Judaism or the Jews in the country, Jews in the world. You just did an interview with an Israeli minister. I would have been really glad if you would have asked her and her government questions about the fact that I think over 70,000 people have been killed since the unfortunate incident on the 7th of October. And that's not just me saying, it is a number of international bodies, including the United Nations. It is South Africa, Colombian president.
Unfortunate.
So terror attack. Do you like that? Terror attack. Let me call it 7th of October terror attack by the terrorist organization Hamas.
It was psychopathic murder.
Abhijit, I'll tell you the difference between me and you. I will condemn what Hamas did and I will condemn what the Israeli state is doing.
But you will condemn what Hamas did? Let me ask you, why were your allies?
You will condemn the wife basher and you will condemn the wife. Yes, Nikhil, that is the difference between us. You will condemn the wife and you will condemn the wife basher. I will only condemn the wife basher.
No. Abhijit, will you condemn the actions of the state of Israel that they're doing in Gaza? Are you saying that South Africa, Colombia,
I will not condemn Operation Sindoor. Pakistan got what it deserved.
How are we going to Operation Sindoor in Pakistan when we are talking about Israel, Gaza, and Muslims? That's a problem.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a right to retaliation.
That's the problem with
you.
It
is the absolute right to retaliation.
You see one Muslim
Israel is doing the absolute right thing. Israel is doing the absolute right thing in Gaza.
Look who is saying this. Look who's saying this. The Congress party that came out. The Congress party viewers that came out and called 2611 an RSS conspiracy. And you labeled Hindus terrorists. This is the Congress party saying this tonight, viewers. That we should not be linking terror with religion. This is the Congress party. The Congress party, Digvijay Singh and company who came out, viewers, and linked terror with religion. Hinduism with religion. Can you believe it?
RSS is not a religion. RSS is an organization that breaks ancient Hindu temples to set up its parking in Jhandewalan. Please stop conflating the BJP and RSS with the Hindu religion. Hindu religion, Hindutva, RSS, BJP are four different things.
The Supreme Court is very clear that Hindutva, Hindu, one second, the Supreme Court judgment makes it very clear. Please, sir, the Supreme Court, don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. Now keep quiet. Listen to the facts. Since you are so good at trying to hair split, let me tell you, the Supreme Court has laid down the law, viewers. Hindutva,
That's not the law.
Hinduism. What?
That's not the law.
The
You
Supreme Court
understanding
has
it
come
wrong.
out and
That's not
said
based-
that there is
that's
no
not the
difference
nature of the
between any
judgment
of
that Rahul
these.
Gandhi did.
There is no difference
Rahul,
between any of
Rahul,
these. That
Rahul,
Hindutva
please
is the
understand.
Twa.
Rahul.
No, one second. Of the Hindu
Rahul,
faith. Please.
understand the difference
No,
between a
please. I don't want to
racial
listen to
judgment
you.
and an
I don't want to
objective
listen to you. You are very
Because you don't want to
specious.
listen to facts.
You are the people
You
who
are-
want
you
to
don't want to listen to
quietly
facts. You
label
will not talk about
everybody
the
and
genocide that
everything.
Israel is doing in Gaza.
This
You
is
will
a
only
this
talk
is a
about
political
a
party
terror
that
attack
filed,
carried by a
viewers.
person
This
in
is a
Australia.
political party that filed. This is how they label people. This is a political party that took to the Supreme Court, filed an affidavit, and came up with the term urban Naxals. They gave this term to the country. So anyone who was standing up in any college.
Do you agree?
One
with
second,
that
I'm
term or
asking
not?
you. I'm
Do you
asking
agree
you.
with
Was
that
it
term
yes or
not? Do you
no?
agree with
Why
that
were you
term or
jumping
not?
to label people then?
Do
I'm
you
only
agree
saying
with
that
the
you
term or
people
not?
are the masters of labeling. Hindu terror is a word that I didn't use.
What does the
RSS
Prime
ki
Minister
charges
do?
2611.
No. Andolan GV,
No, hang on. That
Urban
Kasab was a
Naxal,
Hindu.
Maowadi,
Was also
Muslim
said by
Wadi
a Congress
Congress,
leader, viewers.
Jersey
Anyhow,
Gao.
let me just bring in
Will you
Pradeep
ever
Bhandari.
condemn the Prime
Well,
Minister for the things that
Rahul
he
ji-
did?
Let me bring him. Let me bring him. Let me bring him.
Rahul ji,
Yeah.
I was
Make your
listening
point.
to my friend from the Congress who's getting really worked up on the debate, but I will just quote certain facts. There are two consensus which have evolved now, and there is no difference, and everybody is united on it, Rahul ji. A, that every terror has one or the other linkage from Pakistan, whether it is 9/11, 26/11, London bombing, or or the Sydney terror attack, or Pahalgam. Number two, Islamophobia is not the reality. Radical fundamentalist Islamic terror is what is the reality which the world needs to unite against. Unfortunately, if you recall, Rahul ji, there was a very famous speech in the Indian Parliament by a Samajwadi Party and member, MP, Jihad, who gave a call of jihad from the Indian Parliament. And jihad is being done by all these terrorists who, in the name of jihad, kill quote-unquote kafirs as innocents. And you have your political parties like the Congress and the Samajwadi Party which appropriate it. Rahul Gandhi had said that quote-unquote Hindu extremists are bigger threat to this country than Lashkar-e-Taiba. That is what Rahul Gandhi had said. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, was praised by a terrorist like Hafiz Saeed. And I challenge my dear friend Nikhil. Shaheen, a terrorist, another terrorist in Delhi. You know, Mehbooba Mufti had said, Delhi ke andar bomb blast isliye hua kyunki Kashmir mein dikkat ho rahi hai. And you have the PDP spokesperson who said that Burhan is a poor headmaster's son, not a terrorist, coming here and giving us lectures. The reality is that the Indian opposition and globally the pseudo-secular lobby has never called out the root of terror, which is radical fundamentalist Islamic terror. It needs to be called out. A spade has to be called out as a spade. Unfortunately, in this, likes of Nikhil and his political backers like Rahul for appeasement will never do so, and that is the root cause of it.
Viewers, let me jog your memory
I
back many
called
years.
it
One
that.
second.
Can you call
Mr.
what
Jain,
is
1
right?
second. Let me
It's
jog your
looking at
memory
the
back, viewers, to the US cables
Yes.
that were released by WikiLeaks. And in those cables, viewers, Rahul Gandhi suggested that he considers the possibility of Hindu radical groups, springing up in reaction to the Lashkar-e-Toiba, more dangerous for the country than some support for the LET from a section of the Indian people.
Shame.
Hindus on one level,
Rahul, then we also
people
talk
on the
about
other
the
level.
Epstein files and the mention
These
of
are
Hardeep
these,
Puri
and
and
this
Narendra Modi in
viewers.
them.
1 second. This is a
Since you're
report
talking
from the.
about WikiLeaks,
This is
can
a
you also
report
talk
from
about
the.
Epstein files?
This is a report from the Hindu newspaper, which is quoting the exact WikiLeaks file. And the Congress has never denied it. It tried to come out and suggest what Rahul Gandhi was trying to say, viewers. Anyhow, I leave it at this because clearly, viewers, some people get tongue-tied, and as close we will get to the elections in Bengal, they will get even more tongue-tied. Complete whitewashing will happen. The Congress party has an ally in the left, national level ally. And that ally, viewers, Shashi Tharoor was stunned many years ago. And I'm talking about 2-3 years back when the Gaza war was at its peak. When Haniyeh was given a platform. Haniyeh is the Hamas terrorist. Was given a platform in this country to give a speech, to rise up for the nation of Islam in our country, on our soil, viewers. A terrorist, can you believe it, who has no love lost for Hindus. He wants to create an Islamic caliphate. That Mr. Shashi Tharoor was on record, and then he had to do a complete somersault because he was so badly trolled by his own ecosystem. Anyhow, viewers, talking about Shashi Tharoor, we just want to move on because it's a very interesting story. It is a phenomenally interesting story. The Congress today finds itself hoist by its own contradictions, while the BJP quietly looks to a new working president, Mr. Nabeen, who has been appointed its next and youngest ever working president, a leader seen as rooted, organizationally deep and politically grounded. Rahul Gandhi is being shown the mirror, and not by rivals alone. A sharp critique on X calls Rahul, quote, elite, insulated, insular, not aspirational, unquote. Why is it making the news, viewers? Not because it says that the Congress wants to play rural messiah without rural depth, mass politics without organization. I'll tell you why in just 30 seconds. But first, why is this particular tweet, and tweets are put out by ordinary Indians, viewers, why should we make it the subject of a primetime debate? I'll tell you in 30 seconds. First, let's look at what the tweet is saying. The tweet says Rahul Gandhi represents a different strategic turn. Congress's post-2010 attempt to reposition itself as a rural, grievance-driven mass party to counter BJP dominance. This was a reactive yet devastating shift that can be shown through the electoral results themselves. The most ironic part of it all is that the individual leading this rural turn is among the most elite and insulated figures in Indian politics. Born into a dynastic family, symbolic rural politics without lived or organizational depth lacks any credibility. And guess what, viewers? What has jolted the party is that Shashi Tharoor has hit the like button. Shashi Tharoor has come out and said, thank you for this thoughtful analysis. Who had tongues wagging again last week after skipping a third consecutive major party meet. There was always been more than one tendency in the party. Your framing is fair and reflective of a certain perception of the current reality, unquote. This is Shashi Tharoor lauding this tweet. The single click has set tongues wagging. Is this just intellectual candor or a coded indictment of the leadership? What will further upset the Congress even more is that the post that is liked by Shashi Tharoor contrasts the BJP's cadre-driven rural politics with a Congress that it says has neither infrastructure nor credibility, surviving largely on opposition for opposition's sake. This is what it says on the BJP. Rural politics in India is not rhetorical. It is organizational, cultural, and long-term. BJP succeeds here because of cadre depth, discipline, and cultural alignment through the RSS. What does it say about the Congress? The same person. Congress has none of this infrastructure and yet wants to behave like a poor man's messiah. The Congress today is neither a credible urban reformist nor a serious rural mass party. Identity is now primarily oppositional and not aspirational. For a national party, this is fatal. Now, viewers, all this is happening on a day when the BJP is embracing aspiration and the vitality of the nation's youth by picking for its working president a young man, a self-made grassroots politician. And we are talking about, viewers, the man in the middle of your screens. There he is, Mr. Nabeen. Now, viewers, he's youthful as opposed to the Congress president. Organization experience, long involvement in BJP national and state roles. He's had electoral success. Governance background, he's a minister. Regional strategy. He has been planning the growth of the party in Eastern India. Grassroots commitment, several big attributes. Viewers, I want to open this up because this is very, very, very important. And here's the big question. As BJP scans the horizon for a Nabeen, for a new change, is Rahul Gandhi by default BJP's best bet? And I want to ask this of Mr. Ashutosh Mishra. Mr. Mishra, today, and I want to break something also, viewers, this is very important. This is an example of how Rahul Gandhi gets it so wrong. Today, Omar Abdullah has stood up and said, and let's break that. Omar Abdullah has stood up and said that the India bloc disassociates from Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party's vote chori campaign. This is him. We distance ourselves. And he's not just talking about his own party. He is saying it's the India bloc. Listen very quickly, viewers. And I want to bring in Ashutosh right then and there.
इंडिया अलायंस को इससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है। हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को खुली छूट है कि वो अपने हिसाब से अपने पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा को सेट करें। अब कांग्रेस ने एसआईआर या वोट चोरी को जो है अपना एक मेन पॉलिटिकल इशू बनाया है। ठीक है, हम कौन होते हैं उनसे कहने वाले कि वो ना करें। हम अपने इश्यूज चूज करेंगे, वो अपने चूज करें।
Let me ask you, Mr. Ashutosh Mishra, neither is the message honest and neither is the messenger credible. I am not saying any of these things. Congress's allies are saying it, and Mr. Shashi Tharoor, a Congress leader, is saying it. How do you respond, sir?
You were counting a lot of attributes of the new working president of the BJP, but his biggest attribute you forgot to count was that he's a man chosen by Amit Shah and Narendra Modi. That is the sole reason, not his youthfulness or any other thing. He has to learn under Nadda how, when next time Amit Shah pulls him from his elbow out of the scene, and even though Nadda is the president, not Amit Shah, how he has
I'll
to
take offense.
follow
One second, let him finish.
that is one thing. Now coming to Tharoor, it's time Tharoor sort of came out of the closet and accepted that he's a bug. I mean, he's a man who has been unable to win even the mayoral elections for Congress in Kerala, Thiruvananthapuram. And now he is giving gyan on how just his like of someone who is obviously RSS bug. To discuss it is fine, but that's the view of a person who doesn't obviously, who's on the other side, who has forgotten that it was Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra which has brought down Narendra Modi to 240 seats. He has to remember that the same Narendra Modi, who when he took over was critical of Manrega, is now trying to.
Okay, so one second, very important, very important. You said the Bharat Jodo Yatra restricted Modi. That means you are conceding that there was no vote chori, there was no EVM bahana, this, that, the other. It was the hard work done for 6 months by Rahul Gandhi. That's what you're saying. If you're saying that, then yes.
Rahul, you have to let me complete. Answer your question.
Yeah.
Rahul, the vote chori started after BJP realized that brand Modi has lost his luster. That's when vote chori started.
Okay.
And
So the vote chori starts after you realize that Modi has lost his luster, and therefore we must fix the election. But they would not have fixed it for the biggest contest, which was the final of the finals, viewers, the Champions Trophy, which is the Lok Sabha election. Wow.
Because at that time they thought that the
non-biological
will
Well,
win it.
Rahul ji, I think the youth of the country watches your show at 9 o'clock, and the youth of country should know that if ever they want to enter the politics, the Bharatiya Janata Party is the only party where without any family background, they can reach the zenith of organizational position, and that is what Nitin Naveen ji's appointment reflects. He is a 5-time MLA, an organizational capability man, a man who has an administrative experience, and he comes from ideological commitment. It can never happen in the Congress. Look at the youthfulness of the other party. Mr. Kharge, the president of Congress, 83 years old. Sharad Pawar, the president of NCP, Sharad Pawar, 85 years old. Mamata Banerjee, the president of TMC, 70 years old. MK Stalin, the head of DMK, 72 years old. So the real Yuva Neta today is Mr. Nitin Naveen, Rahul Gandhi.
One very quick question to you, Mr. Bhandari.
Yes.
While you have suggested all of this, the Congress has hit back and said that, listen, this is not an election, this is selection. That you accuse us of the same, of selecting people like Kharge, etc. Show us the proof that there was an election here. How do you respond to that?
Well, there are nomination papers which are filed. There is an entire national, he's a working president, a national council will come into the picture, and after that you will have him as the president.
Okay.
He's a choice of consensus. Okay. And that is why if you see the rule of the BJP
there was an election.
Yes, there is a more than 50% of the states have to have a state president first. Only after that you will have a ability of a national working president.
So you're saying that there's the state presidents that have elected this gentleman.
There is a state council, there is a national council. You need to have 50% plus states appointing new presidents, after which only there can be an election of national working president. That's how it happens. Mr. Mishra will never understand.
Mr. Mitra.
Because his day starts
Mr.
from
Iyer
Rahul,
Mitra.
ends with Rahul.
Mr. Iyer Mitra, how does this square with you? Both sides.
So first, regarding what Ashutosh ji said, the newspaper clip I was holding up was from the Hindu, dated August 2nd, 2025, where Rahul Gandhi himself claims that the 2024 election was entirely rigged. So I wonder who is correct, Mr. Ashutosh or Mr. Rahul Gandhi. I suspect Mr. Ashutosh is actually more accurate than Rahul Gandhi, because Rahul Gandhi doesn't know what he's saying 99% of the times. Now, contrary to what Mr. Pradeep Bhandari would have you believe, that he is virulently anti-Congress and things, I can tell you that Pradeep and most of the BJP leaders are very happy to go to Rahul's house and eat pasta and pizza because he's their best friend. As long as he's the leader of the Congress, there is no way that they can lose. And notice Pradeep is smiling away. He will never deny it. He will never deny he goes to Rahul Gandhi's house to eat pizza and pasta. Third, I think it's very important that we understand that, Nitin Naveen's coming is a long-standing tradition within the BJP of nurturing the next generation. You see, L.K. Advani was around. The party itself chose Narendra Modi to be the next generational shift in that leadership, which then happened in 2014. Imagine Rahul calls himself a youth leader at 55 years old, Rahul. Who calls themselves youth at 55?
Don't say that, yeah. I'm also now 51. Don't say that. Come on. I still think of myself
No,
as
but you do not
youth.
call yourself the youth leader. You are a better Rahul than Rahul Gandhi. You will go on the street, people will say you are a patriot. But when Rahul will go on the street, Mr. Rahul Gandhi will be called as a Pakistani agent.
Look, viewers, the fact of the matter is
Rahul,
today...
See,
yeah.
Amit Shah is 60. There is 5 or 6 year age gap between Rahul and Amit Shah. You go and tell Amit Shah, sir, aap youth leader hain, with those big hands of his, he's going to give you a tight slap.
Okay.
He'll actually consider it an insult to him.
Okay, so the way viewers, look, all of this criticism is not coming from me. It's not coming even from the BJP or Mr. Iyer Mitra. It is now coming from within the Congress and from the friends of the Congress party. I think this line about the leader being insulated, I think this might be ringing true, because elite, insulated, insular, not aspirational. And this is important, viewers, because had that leader had the ear to the ground, maybe we would have beginning to pick up all these things. And maybe we would have had an opposition that could hold the government to account, which is what we need, because, viewers, there is cause for us to be angry. And I want to come to that story right now. Today in Delhi, the union capital, viewers, the capital of this country, which is an aspirational great power, you can barely see the prominent landmarks. You have to go and zoom in on Akshardham. You can't see India Gate. The city landmarks have disappeared. Qutub Minar, India Gate, the familiar skyline erased behind a thick, toxic haze. This is not fog, not winter chill, but poisonous air that millions are forced to inhale every single day, viewers. The AQI numbers are off the charts, and you will see them. Look at this, 553, the highest it has been in a December month ever. The impact is deadly and cumulative. Damaged lungs, rising heart attacks and strokes, higher cancer risk, asthma, chronic bronchitis, weakened immunity, and this is where the uncomfortable comparison begins. Japan enforces the world's strictest vehicle inspections and advanced emission controls and enjoys some of Asia's cleanest urban air. France imposes odd-even traffic rules, car-free days and high diesel taxes, cutting emission. Sweden uses carbon taxes, renewable energy and green urban planning, delivering low pollution with high quality of life. Singapore prices congestion, restricts car ownership and strictly polices industries' emissions, keeping traffic pollution in check. While these countries have taken tough steps, what is our government doing, viewers? it has turned on the sprinklers in Lutyens, Delhi, as if the odd squirt will settle the air. The tragedy is that not only is the government wasting water, but also taxpayer money as it chases optics and not solutions. Look at this, viewers. Anti-smog guns, pole-mounted systems, using 84 liters of water that could go to some poor people and enrich their lives. Each tanker holds around 1,000 liters, viewers, sprayed into the air, as if it's going to kill the smog, kill the fog, as if we're all going to be okay and we're all stupid. So why is India failing? Because, viewers, the center state blame game rages only. Weak enforcement, overlapping agencies, no unified airshed plan. Even the Supreme Court admits court orders alone can't clean Delhi's air. This is what it said. Lawyers' parties should opt for hybrid mode, use video conferencing to appear before courts. And we are in the last week of Parliament, viewers. And this story, which is completely wrecking lives across all of North India, has not been discussed by Parliament. They are still wondering which day they should pick to have this debate, viewers. This is what the Supreme Court is saying. The CAK must consult everyone, take all on board. It's an emergency, viewers. Has the NDA run out of ideas? It's not looking good for it. Let's ask some questions. Anil Gupta, straight question to you. Have you run out of ideas, sir? Is that what's happened? What's going on?
Yeah, good evening to you and all the viewers. There is no run out of the ideas.
Really?
Before I answer your question, let me come to some of the figures.
Sir, I
India
don't
is
want these
producing-
figures. Please, Mr. Gupta ji, I don't want these figures. Don't go back into time. We've had a great monsoon. Things have worked out for you. But this is today the reality. My child cannot go to school. Millions of Indians' children can't go to school. All of the North is covered in this. And you are giving me statistics? Sir, we are breathing it. We are living it. And you are giving me statistics? Sir, please, I want to ask you, where is the solution? Forget about the blame. I have not brought an AAP spokesperson. I have brought an environmentalist. I'm asking you, sir, what is the solution? Sprinklers?
I have not spoken even a single word, and you are just putting your words into my mouth.
I'm not putting any words. I'm asking you a question.
I mean, if you have invited me, allow me to speak. Not the statistics I'm saying. You question about the union government. I'm telling, out of 500 gigawatt electricity production, 250 is from the renewable energy. This is the achievement of the Modi government. All the power plants in Delhi NCR are having FGT now. So all the noxious gases are being absorbed. This is the statistics and this is a fact. What we wanted to achieve in 2030, we have achieved. And it is also a fact. What is the wind speed today? It is 0 to 5. So there is no dispersion. It is also a fact. I'm not saying we have a good situation. We have a bad situation. I'm admitting this.
If you are really talking about how it's such an odd time, maybe the wind speed has fallen to 6 or 5 or whatever it is, kilometers an hour or whatever it is. I want to show you the first graphic I put out of the numbers. It's a graph. And you look at the red marks in that. Yes, we have reached 555. That is it. But look at the lowest that it's been. From the 7th to the 15th, it was only 302 viewers. So I am obviously confused, viewers. And I'm concerned. And I want to bring in Mr. Jha. Is there something that the NDA is not doing? Let me ask you, sir. You've been up to the Supreme Court. You must have had a case. Tell us, what is it that it's not doing? Maybe Mr. Gupta can report back to his team.
So first thing, Rahul, I think what the current government and previous governments also has not done is to accept that this is a problem. Right now, hiding behind what you've done is not enough, because whatever that you've done, if the air quality index is still 550 or whatever, it's actually more than 800, 900 in various areas. That means that whatever that you've done, either you have not done it or you've not done it right. And that's the reason why Delhi's AQI is what it is today. And 38 out of 39 air quality monitors today in Delhi NCR has crossed 500 because it stops at 500. So we don't really know whether it's 550, whether it's 700, whether it's 900 or not. Therefore, I think it's very, very important that if this was an emergency, if this was a concern, if there was proportionate action taken, the situation would not be this. So therefore, to tell for a government representative to say that they have done enough and they're doing all that is under the command, then the situation would not be this bad. And by the way, your studio is in Noida, so this is not just a Delhi problem. I live in Gurgaon. Currently, today I'm in Delhi, and the entire North India, in fact, actually is grappling with this issue. But our parliament doesn't have time to do it. And in all of this, the first and foremost thing, Rahul, and I keep talking about it, and because we bring in the solution of Beijing, which the government needs to understand that everything Chinese is not anti-national. Their Beijing solution is extremely interesting. Beijing, exactly. And by the way, Rahul, what the government is now telling us last week in the parliament, that IQ Air or the international air quality monitoring standards don't apply to India.
So I'm
also,
going
the
by,
other minister said,
I am not going by that. I'm going by the Indian government website.
Absolutely.
And that
it's
in Lutyens, Delhi, it's 439 in a place called the Golf Club, which is a green belt.
Absolutely. And imagine what it will be in Sangam Vihar or in Lakshmi Nagar, in many other areas. Because 3-2% density, area density is very
Lajpat Nagar,
different.
575.
Absolutely right. Right? And Daryaganj, many of these, and I'm not even talking about the 13 hotspots. So, Rahul, I think my humble request to Mr. Gupta, I've been on various debates with him, that, sir, I know that you have an intent, or I would like to accept that you have intent. But intent will only be known if we see transformative change year after year. If in the month of November, December, we are actually fed with this data or fed with this air. For you, it might just be a number. For our children, it's their lung capacity. You know what? I was on a show right now on a physical in-conference show. Every parent said that they now have an inhaler or a nebulizer. Now, that should wake up the government, the conscience of our parliamentarians and our executive in some way or the other. This is not a propaganda, Mr. Gupta. This is something that people are actually facing, and there's an outrage there which needs to be solved by the government. I am not able to solve it. I can perhaps buy an air quality monitor 1, 2, or 5, or 7, or 9, but there are millions, or majority just can't do it. So accepting data is extremely important, and really bring those transformative changes. Okay. Be it Beijing, if you don't like Beijing, do the London style, do the Japan style, do Singapore style, do San Francisco
Gupta,
style.
You know, we have listed some things that can be done. Odd even is something that does work. It showed it worked, but you resisted it. The limits on recycling cards, for example, you lifted. So clearly, there are certain issues. You have maybe, I don't know, picked populism over public welfare, I don't know. So please explain, sir, why is the air quality so bad? And don't blame it now on just the odd environmental factor, because I'm giving you a period of time since it's been bad.
When you ask the questions to me, I have to do some comparison.
Okay.
Is it not true that for last 10 years, Delhi got the tag of red letter day of the history? It is not a fact. If you compare, I'm not saying that we are in good position. Today, as per the CPCB bulletin at 4 p.m., we have a 427 average AQI. I'm admitting in front of you. But what measures we have taken, what the previous government has not taken, I have to explain in front of you. It is not true that as compared to the last year, we have 79 good days as compared to 66 last year. As compared to the very bad days, we have 3 as compared to 11. Now I come to the solution. I explained in your channel earlier also. We are working on 2 types of strategy. One is the elimination of source. And one, because this is an emergency situation, we got all this in the legacy. We don't have a control on the nature. We don't have control on the wind speed. Today, wind speed, yesterday and today is 0 to 5 MPS. So no discussion is there. It is a fact. But we have to find a solution. What solution we are finding? I'm telling you. And we are able to reduce the AQI by 50 points as compared to the previous years. Delhi has a road network of 28,500 kilometers. On war footing basis, we are repairing these roads for dust mitigation. We are filling the potholes. We are doing the mechanical sweeping. We are doing the spraying. And one more thing. And for the long-term strategy for this carbon dioxide system, we are developing the new forest. We are in, we got so much thing in the
Okay,
legacy.
so Mr. Gupta, you will invoke legacy. No, one second. That's a fair point. You will invoke legacy, but you won't be able to do it next year, right? Or maybe the third year. So you're on the watch. The media is going to constantly ask questions. You will have to have answers. Fine. Today you've given me these points. You're mitigating, but I just want to make one point, viewers. When there's very little dust, when there's very little air actually flying around, very little dust gets picked up. So dust is not what is actually causing this. This smog is not because of dust, because he's himself saying there is no wind.
One of the part.
In this particular 3 or 4 days, viewers, it's not been the dust. And this is a fact. This has been told to us by even the meteorological office.
There is no discussion.
Anyhow, I leave it at this, viewers, because there's only that much one can say. The government has to start taking this very seriously. And all of you have to make this an election issue. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Kick governments out who can't give you clean air. That's the least that we can hope for. Kick them out. Don't vote for them. Press nota if it comes to it. I leave it at this.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Sharren Haskel, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, on this particular story. She's had, of course, some forceful words to say on this entire episode. Ms. Haskel, thank you very much for joining us on CNN News 18. Your first reaction.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your first reactions to what transpired at the Bondi Beach, this carnage, how do you see it?
Well, first of all, it's a huge shock. It's shocking to see what had happened there. I lived in Sydney for 6 years. This Jewish community was my community. I was in this beach hundreds of times. This is one of the most touristic spots in Australia. And it was just appalling and shocking to see that in broad daylight, 2 terrorists came hunting for Jews with hunting guns, killing them one after the other, coming into a celebration. You know, this was a Hanukkah celebration where family gathers together to light candles, to play with dreidels, to have fun. And grandparents, Holocaust survivors were massacred, children. I mean, this is just shocking and appalling and heartbreaking. But I have to say as well, this was no surprise for us.
Let's just go back a few years to October 7th. Once again, an important time in the Jewish calendar, a terror strike. Now, three years later, you have another terror strike, this time in December, once again, on a very important Jewish festival, as you yourself suggested. Common threads here?
Sorry, which attack do you refer to?
The October 7th attack, and of course now the December 14th carnage in Bondi. Both taking place on important times with regards to...
Of the holiday.
That's right.
Using holidays
so
as
common threads? Common threads here? How do you see this?
Well, we've seen throughout history that our enemies are looking into high holidays to try and target the Jewish community. You've seen just a few months ago an attack on the Manchester synagogue. They seek for religious places, for religious holidays to go and go on this rampage. And it should be very clear to you that, you know, this is not about some disputes about territory or anything like that. This is a cultural, a religious war between radical Islamists and against people who value freedom, who choose democracy, who choose values that respect one another, liberty, as simple as that. And this is what they're doing in London, in Germany, in Australia, in India. Okay, those are terrorist attacks that are challenging the soul and the heart of communities, including religious communities. Those are civilians, families. It's appalling. And I have to say that this has been growing in Australia because even after the 7th of October, the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, you saw already 2 days later, on the 9th of October, in Sydney, marches in support of Hamas. This was before Israel was at war. This was just when Israel was attacked, where entire families were burnt alive, where little girls were raped. And they were marching in Sydney, celebrating, chanting, gas the Jews, globalize the Intifada. Well, no one was arrested. No one was prosecuted. Those are hate crimes. Those are calling for killing of Jews in Sydney, and the authorities did nothing. And so when we say that, unfortunately, the government didn't do enough to try and stop that, to fight anti-Semitism, this is what we're talking about.
Ms. Haskel, let me ask you this, because India, as you've just pointed out yourself, has been on the receiving end, and we just had a terror attack that we've recovered from.